Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to a very unique episode of the A24 Archive. This is the series where normally I cover a specific film in A24's catalog, from the first film that they produced all the way up currently. And when I released Remember the other day, I let you guys know that that was the 30th film in A24's catalog. And so now that I've hit 30 films, I thought it would be the perfect time to rank them. When I talk to them with you guys, I let you know about my general feelings towards them, all of the nitty gritty about the cinematography, performances, story execution. And so I won't get heavily into those details because I've already done full reviews of them. But what I will do is kind of give you a little brief background and why they place where they do on my rank list. As I do in every rank list video that I've ever done, these are my opinions. They're not fact. They're not 100% fact. They're just the way that I feel about these films. And so I'm going to go from last place, 30th place, all the way to what is in first place currently, and then when I hit 60 of A24's films, I will go through all 60 of them, and then I will go the next 30 and do it in increments of every 30. So I'm going to jump right into it right now, and we're going to talk about these films and where they rank on my list. So coming in at number 30 is Revenge of the Green Dragons. If you watched my review for this film, you know I absolutely despised it. Terrible dialogue, horrible pacing, horrible cinematography. It's barely a movie. It's really upsetting that A24 even released this thing. It's terrible. I can't stand it. I'll never rewatch it. Coming in at number 29 is A Glimpse into the Mind of Charles Swan. Despite having such a heavy-hitting list of actors and having a director with the last name Coppola, that doesn't take away from the fact that this movie is hot garbage. Felt like a story to just sort of boost Charlie Sheen's ego. It was terrible. It was bland. I couldn't stand it, and I'll never watch it again. Coming in at number 28 is Tusk. I can't stand Kevin Smith. I've made that very well known. And this movie was grating, irritating. The characters were all unlikable. It's really difficult, even when someone is being tortured and turned into a walrus, to care when they are a despicable piece of shit human being. And there was no one in this film that was likable. Johnny Depp's weird performance was absolutely horrible. There wasn't anything in this I liked. I will never watch this movie again. Coming in at number 27 is Barely Lethal, the A24 produced film that felt like a Disney Channel original movie. Not even Haley Steinfeld, who I absolutely love, could save this absolute garbage heap of a film. Number 26 is the film Mojave. Oscar Isaac gives his best Hulk Hogan impersonation. I absolutely despised this film. There really wasn't anything to get out of it, and I forgot it moments after watching it. Coming in at number 25 is the film Life After Beth from director Jeff Baena. Jeff has put out some films I love and some films I absolutely despise. This film was not good. I felt like the humor was so heavy-handed. It was delivered poorly. Not even Aubrey Plaza, who is one of my favorite actresses of all time, could save this movie. It was so all over the place. The screenplay was terrible. I couldn't stand this movie. I will probably never rewatch it. Coming in at number 24 is Sofia Coppola's The Bling Ring. Despite the fact that I thought the premise of this film was really interesting, it didn't take away from the fact that I hated all the characters, which I understand they are supposed to be unlikable, but it was really hard for me to stay invested in a story that felt like the same thing kept playing over and over and over again. You already knew what was going to happen because they told you at the beginning of the film, and nothing really impacted me about this. I didn't care about the dynamics between all the characters. I just felt like it was relatively bland, and I'll probably never watch this again. Coming in at number 23 is the film Dark Places. This is based on a Gillian Flynn novel. I felt like there was moments in this I really appreciated, but the dialogue was so hammy and goofy that I couldn't get into this one. I felt like even Charlize Theron's performance wasn't really anything all that special. The twist wasn't really that great. It's just a really run-of-the-mill thriller that was based off of a novel that's way better. Coming in at number 22 is the film Cut Bank. This is an attempt to do a Coen Brothers-esque style film that just didn't work. I feel like even with all the heavy hitters in this cast, that there wasn't anything super spectacular about it. It was a super short runtime. I feel like it didn't give it enough time to flesh out these characters and make you care enough. I felt like there were moments in this that made it redeemable. It's just nothing I could ever see myself revisiting again now that I know how it ends. Coming in at number 21 is the film Spring Breakers, a movie that I disliked more the second time around. I feel like there are moments of brilliance in this from Harmony Korine, but there's also also moments that made this feel like a cheap student film, and that's what I really didn't enjoy about this. I feel like getting rid of Selena Gomez's character, who was one of the most interesting characters as far as like her attachment to religion and what going out with her friends was doing to her. I think if we would have carried her to the end of the film, I would have liked it even more. But the characters that were left at the end were so uninteresting to me that just made the climax of this film feel sort of whatever. And it's not a movie I'll probably ever watch again. Coming in at number 20 is the film Son of a Gun, starring Ewan McGregor. This started out really promising and then just sort of fell into that normal heist movie that just didn't really do anything unique or special. The characters were all okay, even though Alicia Vikander showed up in this, who I absolutely love. She just did an alright job in this movie, and it's just a really run-of-the-mill film that I don't think that there's anything really worth watching about this one. Up next is the film Ginger and Rosa, a film that had a lot of potential. I just felt like fell a little short of what it could have been. There's a lot of things in this movie that I can really appreciate. There's a lot of really great performances, but overall it just takes a little bit too long to build itself up to where it wants to go, and I don't think it ever fully realizes its concept to make it super impactful. I do think this one is worth giving a watch to sort of establish your own opinion on this one, but it's not one that I'm going to be super excited to revisit in the future, although I would rewatch it. Coming in at number 18 is the film Locke. I think Tom Hardy gives an absolutely brilliant performance in this, but aside from that, there's really not a lot to hold on to give this rewatchable value. I think that it has amazing cinematography and keeping you engaged for an hour and 20 minutes, but I feel like in the third act, when the film ends, it just kind of ends, and it feels like the director didn't really know how to give it a more impactful punch, which is disappointing because I feel like his performance is so incredible, but that's why it falls in this spot on this list for me. Coming in at number 17 is the film The Captive from Adam McGoyan. I felt like this was a really interesting thriller about Ryan Reynolds and his wife, that their daughter gets kidnapped, and this had a really weird, non-linear way of telling its story. I liked the way that it covered all of the different characters throughout the film. I thought that it made it really immersive and engaging. There's problems I have with the screenplay. Some of it's a little corny. Some of the line delivery is definitely a little goofy, which is why it falls this low on my list. But I do think this is a really interesting film that it would be really worth your time to check out at least once. Coming in at number 16 is the other Adam McGoyan film, Remember. I just did a review on this one, but I thought this was a really cool story about a man with dementia trying to find the people who murdered his family at Auschwitz. It was a really unique and interesting story that took a really wild twist in the third act. I just think the pacing isn't perfect in this film, and it definitely falls short for me a little bit comparatively to what it could have been. Coming in at number 15 is the film The Rover. This film really took me by surprise. Amazing performances from Guy Pearce and Robert Pattinson. I really liked this sort of post-apocalyptic feel to this world. It's like not desert wasteland Mad Max style, like there's still some form of society, but I really like the dirty, dingy grossness overall of this movie and the direction that it took. It was a super unique and fun watch, and I really enjoyed this one, and I think you'll like it too if you've never seen it. Number 14 is the film Obvious Child, starring Jenny Slate. I feel like this is a super fun and quirky romance film that also has this topic of abortion that's the through line of it. It's handled so well and delicately. I really loved this one again on revisiting it. There's just a lot of films in A24's catalog that I like more, but this is definitely a film I will rewatch in the future and that I think is really entertaining. Coming in at number 13 is the film Slow West. This is a super simplistic, short runtime Western with great performances. I really enjoyed the way that this film was structured. I feel like it has a very simplistic idea that it wants to convey, and it does so in a really brilliant way. And if you've never checked out Slow West, you're missing out. It's a really entertaining film. Coming in at number 12 is the film Laggies, a film that I think could have dealt with a better title and better marketing, but it's a super sweet and simplistic romance that I think is handled really well. The direction is great. The performances from Keira Knightley, Sam Rockwell, and Chloe Grace Moretz are all fantastic. I had a smile on my face through the whole runtime of this movie, which A24 doesn't have a lot of soft, sweet romances like this, and I think that it's a really great movie. Coming in at number 11 is A Most Violent Year, a really unique crime drama that I think is Definitely unlike a lot of the films that A24 has released. It's not like an over-the-top mafia mob movie. It's all about how Oscar Isaac is handling these situations, being accused of dealing under the table, interacting in crime activities. He gives such an amazing performance. Jessica Chastain is amazing in this. There's so many incredible performances throughout this entire film, and the third act was amazing. I really liked it a lot. Coming in at number 10 is While We're Young, an underrated Noah Baumbach film. I feel like this is definitely one of his films in his catalog that is relatively overlooked. Ben Stiller gives one of my favorite performances of his career. Adam Driver is amazing in this film. Amanda Seyfried is great. Naomi Watts is great in this film. There's so many amazing performances throughout, and it's all about the dialogue and how the dialogue is delivered. And I think this film is great. If you've never seen it, you should definitely check it out. And at number 9 is the film Mississippi Grind. This is a super fun movie that really took me by surprise, with two great performances from Ben Mendelsohn and Ryan Reynolds. This is a gambling film that's more of just like a buddy comedy that also has some really great dramatic moments in it. I didn't really expect anything of this film whatsoever, and this is a movie that I ended up loving. It's so fantastic. It's so much fun. If you haven't watched this movie, you're really missing out. Go check it out. It's a blast. So from film number 8 to number 1, these 8 films are all films that I've given 5 stars that I think are the best in A24's catalog thus far, and they're films that I will rewatch multiple times and that I think all are necessary viewings in A24's catalog. So coming in at number 8 is the film The End of the Tour, probably the best performance ever from Jason Segel. Jesse Eisenberg gives a great performance in this film. There's just so much to love about this movie in general. 2 great performances. It's based on the true story of David Lipsky and David Foster Wallace. They have so many great conversations in this. I love the cinematography in this. It's just such an amazing film based on a true story that I really didn't expect anything from because I didn't know anything about the story, and it ended up really leaving me with a smile on my face and making me really reflective, and I always love movies that can do that. Coming in at number 7 from the same director as End of the Tour is The Spectacular Now. This movie is an incredible character study. It's such an amazing romance film. I feel like Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley both give amazing performances. For so early in A24's career, this is one of the best films that they put out early in their career. It's one that rewatching it this time gave me an even fonder appreciation for it. And if you've never seen this movie, you're missing out. It's fantastic. Coming in at number 6 is Amy, the documentary about Amy Winehouse. I didn't know anything about Amy Winehouse's music prior to watching this film, and I absolutely adored it. I think there's so much interesting information about Amy's life. It's super depressing, but it's also really thought-provoking and thinking about the music industry as a whole, how artists are treated, and it's just an absolutely beautiful and well put together documentary that if you've never seen, even if you don't know anything about Amy Winehouse, it will definitely leave you moved. And at number 5 is Denis Villeneuve's Enemy, one of Denis Villeneuve's most surreal films. Super unique and interesting. Jake Gyllenhaal gives an amazing performance in this one. I absolutely love it. Every time I've seen it, I think this is the Villeneuve film I've seen the most. Really gross cinematography accompanied by a really suspenseful and intense storyline. I love this movie. I'm going to continue to love it more and more every time I see it. Coming in at number 4 is the film Room, probably one of Brie Larson's best performances of her entire career. An amazing performance from a young Jacob Tremblay. Super heartbreaking film that really explores the idea of grief and trauma and PTSD in such a unique and interesting way, and it really leaves me floored every time I revisit this one. Coming in at number 3 is Alex Garland's Ex Machina, an incredible science fiction film with amazing performances, incredible atmosphere, beautiful cinematography, just one of my favorite science fiction films ever made, and it's definitely probably my favorite film in Alex Garland's catalog. Just so amazing. I love the character writing in this. The dialogue in it is spectacular. If you haven't seen Ex Machina, go watch it right now. Coming in at number 2 is Under the Skin from Jonathan Glazer. One of the most unique and surreal science fiction films I've ever seen. One of the most beautiful scores that I've ever heard in my life. Just really kind of carries you through this really strange and unique world that has been established where there's virtually no dialogue and everything is through the actions of the characters and through the brief interactions that Scarlett Johansson has with these people who a lot of them are non-actors, which I think makes makes it such a unique viewing experience. If you haven't seen this, it's definitely not a film for everyone, but it's a film that will provide you with a really unique and strange experience, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. And then number one, as to surprise by no one who knows me, is Robert Eggers' The Witch, one of my favorite horror films of all time. This movie has great atmosphere, great cinematography, performances, attention to detail on the time period. It's suspenseful, it's violent, it's over the top, it's everything I could ever want in a movie. I think Robert Eggers proved himself to be an incredible filmmaker, that this was his directorial debut, continues to make amazing films, and where I stand right now, 30 films in, there is not a film I love more in A24's catalog than The Witch at this point. So if you haven't seen The Witch, this is my glowing recommendation to go watch it right away. How does my 30 A24 films thus far stack up to yours? Let me know in the comments where these films would rank for you. I would be really interested to hear it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.